As the title says, from small things big things can grow. In my case, the small thing was me, Remy Flyer, aged 3 years old. My father had passed away 2 months ago to a drink driver, him being the drunk, the other being an ancient, very large oak tree. Thankfully the tree was not too badly damaged. My mother Grace wasn't that upset about the demise of her husband, as my father was a bully and a violent person after a few drinks. He would often knock my mother around when he came home drunk, so, in one way it was good riddance to bad rubbish. A few weeks later she had found out he had also gambled nearly all their money away on the dogs or horses. This left my mother and me in a position we had to sell our small house to cover his gambling debts. We moved into a small rented 1-bedroom flat in the, shall we say, lower part of the city, as this is all she could afford. My mother took a part-time job in one of the local supermarkets to help pay the rent and feed us. Our neighbor, Mrs. Joan Waterfield, retired, would look after me when my mother was at work. It was a sorry state of affairs, as money was extremely tight, unsure that our mother went without food some days, just so that I could eat properly. We were there for 5 or 6 months before my mother became ill. Looking back, I think it was stress, not eating properly and poor living conditions, all this amalgamated one day into her collapsing at work. They took her to the hospital by the manager, where they diagnosed stress, lacking certain important vitamins, and exhaustion. They said they would keep her in overnight. On hearing this she became hysterical because of me. They asked if there was anyone they could contact. All she could think of was her distant Auntie Shelley Winters, but she had not seen her in years. Our mom gave her the last address she knew of. The hospital telephoned her and explained what had happened to our mother. Her reaction was of, "Oh my goodness, I will come straight up to see her and organize everything for her." Within hours my Auntie Shelley was there at my mother's bedside. The last she had heard or seen us was at my father's funeral, and since she had no contact with us afterwards, she assumed everything was working out for my mother and me. When she heard the story of what my father had been up to, and how much debt her husband had left us in, it appalled her at what had happened. She at once took charge, telling my mother that as soon as someone discharged her, she would take my mother and I down to her house in Kent. She said to our mother, "Grace, I live alone. I never married, so I have no children. The house is big enough for me, you and the baby to live in. It will be company for me as well. You will not have to pay a penny for anything, as I am comfortably off. Is that agreeable to you?" My mother broke down in tears, thanking her again and again. "Good, that's settled then. Now where is Remy so I can pick her up?" Our mother told her, then she was gone in a flash. As for me, the first thing Auntie Shelley said to our mother was, "Oh, what a pretty girl you have, and such a gorgeous name. You're so lucky. That's something I have always wanted, a pretty girl like this one." Our mum laughed and said, "That's not a girl, that's Remy." Auntie Shelley said, "But he's so pretty, too pretty to be a boy." They both laughed. Mom was soon out of the hospital and we moved in with Auntie Shelley house. So, we moved in. Mom got a full-time job in a clothes store, and I got the sole attention of my Auntie Shelley. Well, what a happy ending, you say. How wrong, or right, can it be? As time went on, whilst Mom was at work, Auntie Shelley would dress me in girly-colored dresses, with matching small socks. Then put ribbons and bows in my hair, which she had deliberately let me grow. Then whenever she took me out and anyone asked about me, she would always reply, "This is our baby Ramia. She is such a good girl, and I think she is so pretty, don't you?" Of course, I knew nothing about this until much later in my life. I was too young to know anything, so my life went on. It was strange, because my mother never queried about the way Auntie dressed me. In fact, she encouraged her by buying me girl stuff all the time. As I started to get older, I was about 4 or 5 then, I was wearing dresses, short white socks, frilly knickers, girl shoes, and having my hair plaited or put into pigtails all the time. I even had girly nightdress. At one point, they told me they were even thinking of going to get my ears pierced. I just accepted everything as normal as any girl would. But of course, as I grew up to the age when I should start school, they couldn't continue pretending I was a girl. So they sat me down one afternoon and explained to me, in very simple terms, that I wasn't a real girl, but I wasn't a real boy either. I was horrified and cried for ages. But they said, after school, if you want you can change back into your real clothes. And you go back to being a girl if you want. But, you must pretend to be a boy at school. That really cheered me up. So off came the pigtails, but they still left my hair just below collar length, my frilly knickers became uni pants, and my dresses became soft shirts and shorts. Now it appears I was ready to face the prospect of school as a boy. This lasted for several years until I reached junior school, where I progressed more and more into a normal boy. But I never seemed to fit in. I was always the odd one out, the quiet one who never joined in the boys' games. To be honest, I was never really interested in them. What a few boys noticed was that I still had some feminine traits which had stuck with me, so I was often bullied about them. I sometimes would watch the girls play and talk to each other, laughing and joking about something, and I would get upset and angry. Why couldn't I join in their fun? It wasn't fair, I thought. I would come home, go to my bedroom and cry my eyes out. Neither Mom nor Auntie could help because I never told them what it was all about, no matter how they tried to coax me. I was now about 11, I still had my long hair, I had refused to have it cut, only slightly trimmed. It was that Saturday afternoon that Mom and Auntie wanted to go out clothes shopping. They asked if I would like to go, as they knew it was one of my pleasures, clothes shopping that is. But this time, for the very first time, I said, "No thank you, I have this homework to do." I didn't, but I just wanted to be alone. As I wandered around the house, I came to my mother's bedroom. Without thinking, I sauntered in. As I looked around, I could smell her perfume. It was like an aphrodisiac to me. All my younger memories and feelings came flooding back. I was so happy then. Without even thinking, I opened her top drawer where she kept all her underwear. I felt them, the smoothness, the texture. I wanted to put them all on so badly. But I didn't. I went downstairs and sat down trying to watch a program on the television. But all I could see was me dressing in those clothes, and the feeling they gave me, the feeling of contentment and happiness. It became too much to bear. I raced upstairs, stripped off all my ugly clothes as I called them, opened the drawer and took out a pair of pink frilly panties. As I put them on, I could feel the stress being drained out of me. It was a wonderful feeling. Then I found a small training bra which I fastened with ease around me, then a pair of tights which I slipped on. It felt so natural. The feeling of relief and contentment that came over me was unbelievable. I found a petticoat and a dress that would fit me as I put the dress on and did the zip up. I felt as if it was wrapping itself around my body, whispering to me, "This is what you should be wearing, all the time." I went to the mirror, brushed my hair into a ponytail, tying it off with a ribbon I had found. Then I looked at myself in that mirror for a long, long time, unable to take my eyes off of the person in that mirror. I felt my hands run over the shape of my body, the shape of my small breasts, the silkiness of the tights and firmness of the dress bodice. I was so happy I started to cry. I stayed like it for an hour or two, then realizing that Mom and Auntie would be back soon, I begrudgingly took it all off very slowly and folded it up and put it back where it came from and dragged myself back into my ugly clothes again. Then I went back downstairs and sat on the settee, and though my eyes were watching what program was on, my mind was still back in the bedroom. This carried on for several months. Any excuse to be alone I took. Mom and Auntie never seemed to mind, or even notice. I think they had got used to me liking to be by myself. Near the end of my junior school, I had settled down into dressing up in girls' clothes as often as I could. I must have grown some because I found some underclothes and dresses that fitted me perfectly. So I was even happier than normal. I even found a pair of Mary Jane shoes with a 2-inch heel that fitted me. So now when everyone was out, I could fully dress as a girl in those clothes. The following week they both had to go out shopping on Saturday. Again they asked me if I wanted to go along with them. For some reason I said, "Yes please." They were so pleased that I had agreed. They said that we would make a day of it. So early Saturday morning we all got up, dressed and were gone. Mom said, "I want to get some clothes first. I don't know whether to get a dress or a skirt and blouse, and I'm not even sure of the color." So we went into one of the large clothes shops, and I do mean large. We went around the racks looking at the dresses. Mom would pick one up and Auntie and I would comment on it. It was great fun. I think I was thinking more of what it would look like on me, rather than Mum, but we picked out 2 dresses and a blouse and skirt for her. Next was the underwear department. They knew this had never embarrassed me, so I went along. Mum picked out some gorgeous panties, plus 2 matching padded bras. Then, with all of us laughing at something one of us had said, Mum suddenly stopped at the basque section and started looking at the basques. She spotted a black and red basque with back lacing plus stockings and matching panties. She looked at Auntie and smiled. Auntie said, "Oh yes, and what's going on here? Who are we off to see then?" Mum laughed and said, "I have always wanted one of these. I think they make you feel so feminine and it gives you a good figure, so this is my treat for myself." I commented saying, "Mum, that looks fantastic, it's just so pretty." "Thank you, my sweet," she said. And so, it carried on all day. She bought a swimsuit, more shoes, a couple on petticoats. I thought it would never end at one point, but I was really enjoying it. But at last, fully laden, we stopped for a coffee. Auntie asked me, "Well, Ramia, did you enjoy that?" I replied, "Yes, it was a lot of fun, thank you." I suddenly thought to myself, she's called me Ramia, that's the girl's equivalent to my name Remy, but I let it pass as a mistake. For the next few weeks, I found I was being called Ramia more and more, not only by my auntie but my mother as well. The funny thing was, I didn't mind it at all, so I never corrected them. The next chance I had to change was 2 weeks later, when Auntie asked our mum if she would like to go with her to her sister's for the day on the following Saturday. Auntie asked me, but I found an excuse not to go. I said, "Well, Auntie, I think I will just have a quiet day today. There are things I want to do, so I can get them out of the way without disturbing anybody, and I can watch cricket on the tele as well." "That's fine," she said, "but we will be gone for at least 5 hours, so if you get hungry, make yourself a sandwich with something from the fridge, is that all right?" Trying not to smile, I replied, "That's fine, both of you go and have a good day." As bad as it sounds, I couldn't wait for them to go. The days until Saturday dragged on and on. The following Saturday, Mum and Auntie left early. It was about an hour's ride away. I gave them a good half an hour just in case they had forgotten something, then I went upstairs. The first thing I did was have a good shower, making sure I shaved everywhere. Though there wasn't much to shave anyway, as I had always lacked hair on my body or legs. I dried myself off and went into our mum's bedroom and slowly opened the underwear drawer, holding my breath in anticipation of what was to come. The sight of all those clothes there made my head swim. I carefully picked out a pair of red panties with a black lace edging, then after some major thought I picked out a padded red bra, again with black edging. I so wanted to try the basque on. I could only imagine how it must feel. It was no good. With trembling hands I took the bra off and got out the basque. I slipped it on, then did the hooks up at the front. Already it was making me feel more feminine. I wiggled it into its rightful place on my body and began to tighten the laces. The feeling of it pulling my flesh into shape was immense. The more I pulled, the tighter it became and the more feminine shape I was starting to acquire. I had read in a magazine that if you wrapped the laces around a door handle, you could even pull them tighter. So, I did. My waist must have shrunk another 2 inches, and it pushed the extra flesh up into the bra section, giving me my very first small set of breasts and a cleavage, and they were really all mine. I couldn't believe it. I now had small breasts, a waist, and hips just like a real girl had. Then I took out a pair of black stockings and very carefully, so not to put a run in them, slid them gently up my legs, then attached them to the suspenders. As I stood up, I could feel the stockings and suspenders pulling against each other, and when I took a few steps, the feelings I had were immense. I walked over to the drawers and took out a black full-length petticoat, which I slipped over my head. The feel of it against my stockings and the movement of it sliding across my basque was very intense. I thought, is this what girls feel as they are dressing, the sheer femininity of their clothes? So, back to the wardrobe again, this time for a dress. Within minutes I had found the dress I wanted. It was a vintage pink, knee-length dress with bright multicolored flowers on. It was gorgeous. As I put it on and zipped it up, it fitted me like a dream. I had found some black sandals with an ankle strap on, so I slipped them on and did the ankle strap up. They had a 3-inch heel, but I could manage those with no problem, because of the practice I had had. Again, I did my hair up into a high ponytail, this time with a pink ribbon to finish it off. Then I went around the house looking in every mirror I came across, just admiring myself as a girl, looking at the shape the basque had given me, feeling the pull of the suspenders and stockings, feeling my breasts, hearing the swish of my skirt as I walked, having to take shorter steps because of the heels. It just felt so right wearing all of this. It was all natural and right for me. Looking at the clock, I realized there were still 3 hours before I had to go back to my dreary clothes. They forced me to wear her, that's how I felt. My thoughts started to stray. Could I get away with putting on some makeup? I had read lots of magazines about how it was done, and which order you put it on. I looked in the mirror and thought, to hell with it, why not? It was a moment of madness, but a thoroughly enjoyable one. I went to the dressing table where Mum kept all her cosmetics, thought about it again, for about 2 seconds, then started. 1. A primer or foundation cream which I smoothed evenly over my face and neck. 2. Then concealer where required for spots or irregularities of color on your face. 3. Blush, highlighter, or bronzer, to give your complexion a finishing touch. 4. Eyeshadow to make your eyes brighter or wider, remembering to blend them in. 5. Eyeliner, try always to use black on the upper lash line for a more amped up look. 6. Mascara to make your eyes look way bigger and the whites of your eyes look brighter. 7. Lipstick, the most important part, defines the lips, blends in either the general color or stands out alone by itself, always your choice. Remembering all of this and also remembering how Mum and Auntie did it, I began. I took a good hour and quite a few disastrous attempts to come up with something that resembled how I wanted to look. Then I knew after all of this I had to finish it off. I found some nice clip-on drop pearl earrings and a matching gold necklace with a dropped pearl in the middle. Then I added a few bracelets and then a small dab of perfume to finish the picture off. I was ecstatic on how I looked and felt. I so wanted to be this girl I saw in the mirror. Knowing deep down that girl I saw was in fact me. Knew if anybody saw me like this, they would never have recognized me. I looked and felt like a proper girl. Then when out of the corner of your eye, you notice something that is different to what it should be. With a very slow motion I turned my head and looked around. To my absolute horror, there was my mother and Auntie Shelley watching me and smiling. How long they had been there I don't know. I was panic-stricken. What was I to do or say? So, I did the only thing I knew what to do by instinct. I start crying, begging for forgiveness, saying it was the first time I had done this, and I would never do it again. As I slowly collapsed to the floor, tears and mascara streaming down my eyes. Both Mum and Auntie Shelley came over to me and crouched down beside me. Speaking quietly, they said, "Ramia, don't cry. We both know you have been dressing up for a long time now. Didn't you realize how well most of the clothes we bought were in your size? Please don't worry, we both love you as a girl, and we always have since you were a baby." Then they told me what they used to do with me when I was a baby, dressing me up as a girl and pretending to everyone that I was. Then they were both hugging me, one was drying my eyes, as the other one whispered in my ear, "You make a wonderful and a beautiful girl." Then they both hugged me, and I felt as if I was in a cocoon. Mum gave me some tissues and told me to dry my eyes, and to wipe the running mascara away from them, as it was spoiling my makeup. I did as she said, not knowing what was going on. I thought they would be mad, be furious, or something. Not this though, it totally confused me. They slowly took my hand and led me down the stairs to the lounge where they sat me down. I was still clutching my tissues like a drowning man clings to a lifeboat. Mom went out in the kitchen to make us all a cup of tea. Auntie Shirley said to me, "Ramia, we know you've been dressing for ages now. I am a very fussy person and I fold my clothes in certain ways and know where they go in the drawer. And when I noticed that not only were not folded as I do them, they weren't in the right place in the drawers. So, I guessed that it was you playing dress up with them. I mentioned it to your mother, and we sat down together, talked about what we should do if it escalated. And it did. You started to wear more and more, and we noticed that our makeup was moved, so I sat down with your mother and we discussed what to do, or what to say to you about it. We thought the best thing to do was to give you time to dress properly a few times, then pretend to go out all day, but come back a lot earlier and to see how far you were willing to go. I deliberately left that red basque out on top to see if you liked wearing it. And so we know now, you not only like wearing girls' clothes, from panties to high heels, to makeup. I think I'm right in saying that you would love to be a girl. I looked on the floor in shame. Mom came in with a cup of tea for us all. She was still smiling, as she looked at me and said, "You know, Ramia, you make a beautiful girl. I must admit that I have always wanted a daughter. And though it sounds silly, I'm so pleased you like dressing as a girl. It makes me feel as if I have one now. And for you it's nothing to be ashamed of at all. You're just showing what you would like to be. In fact, you are making us quite proud that you are doing what your mind is telling you, and that is you are deep down a girl." I sat there not knowing what to say or do. I mean, there's being shocked, and boy was I shocked. I mean, they didn't mind, they even seemed to want to encourage me to dress as a girl. I was still in shock when they asked me, "Now you must be very honest with us, but more with yourself. There is no right or wrong answer, just be honest. Do you like just dressing up as a girl now and then, or do you really want to become a girl full-time?" I did not know what to say, then all of a sudden it all started to spill out. I mumbled, "Mom, Auntie, I love wearing girls' clothes, all of them. It make me feel really comfortable when I do. I feel so different, so happy. I feel as if I was supposed to be wearing them. I just love dressing as I want to dress, and I want to dress like this all the time, forever." Mom looked at Aunt Shelley and said, "Shelley, you know we were thinking of going away on holiday later this year. Well, I have an idea. Come outside in the kitchen a moment and let me put it to you. Ramia, would you stay in here for the moment while I speak to Auntie Shelley in private? We won't be long." I replied, "Of course, Mum." "Oh, and one more thing, my sweet," she said before she went outside, and looking me straight in the eyes carried on saying in a matter-of-fact voice, "When you're dressed as a girl, would you mind calling me Mummy?" I said, "Yes, Mummy," and a happy grin spread across her face. They had been talking in the kitchen for about 20 minutes before they came out. They were both smiling. I was standing by the chair, wondering what they were going to say to me. Was it good or bad? I was feeling quite nervous, despite all which had just happened. They sat down, and Auntie Shelley looked at our mother and spoke, "Now, Ramia, first sit down with us at the table." I sat down, straightening my dress under me. "Your mom and I have been discussing all what has happened in the past with you. I mean, dressing as a girl. That is right up until tonight when it all came to a head. And we have agreed on a solution which we think will answer yours and ours questions fully. But it will be up to you to either say yes or no to what we are going to suggest. Is that clear?" I nodded my head and said, "Yes, Auntie." "This is what we have decided," she said. "We were going on holiday for 4 weeks later on this year in October. But we have decided to change it from October to July, which is just over a week away. You will be on school holidays then, so you will miss no schooling at all. Now, this is what we propose. We will all go away for the 4 weeks, but you will come as Ramia. By that I mean you will be Ramia the whole time, day and night. In fact, you will become a girl full-time. No trousers, just skirts and dresses, no pants, just panties, and of course a bra which you will wear all the time like a real girl would have to. There will be no boys' things in any way coming with us. You will be dressed as a girl, and we expect you to behave as a girl. That means you will have to change a lot of things you did as a boy which you will not be able to do as a girl. Do you understand, Ramia?" I thought about it for a minute or two and then said, "Yes, I would love to do that. Thank you, Auntie. Thank you, Mummy." Auntie Shelley said, "Right, if you're sure about this then we are going to have to make you even more like a girl. So, tomorrow we will go down to the town and you will get your ears pierced, maybe 2 in each ear, I think. Then we will go to the hairdresser to get your hair styled into a girl's style. Your mom and I will decide on what you have done. You will also have a proper manicure and pedicure and have your nails painted. Whilst that is being done, your mother and I will go out shopping for you. That is to get your new clothes and everything you will need as a girl, all right, Ramia?" All I could only do was nod and smile and again say, thank you to them both again, giving them both great big hugs and kisses. When we had a supper that night I was still dressed as Ramia. And I was already being told how to sit, how to get up out of the chair. Even about always keeping my knees together like all proper girls should, and to eat small mouthfuls and not to shovel it in like a boy's does. After dinner I had to help clear all the things away, something I rarely did. They told me tomorrow was going to be a long day for me tomorrow, so I was to have a nice bath now, then have an early night. I had a nice smelly bath that Mummy prepared for me and was given a long nightdress and a pair of matching panties to wear to bed. That night I slept like I had never slept before. I was so relaxed, and the smell of the bathwater and feel of the nightdress and panties were overwhelming. The next morning at 8:00 I was awoken by Auntie shouting to me, "Come on lazy bones, we have a lot to do today." Still half asleep, they told me to have a shower and to change into a clean pair of panties and a matching padded bra which Mummy had laid, along with a blue dress and black petticoat. I was told no tights or stockings as I was having my feet seen to, and to only wear a pair of small wedge sandals. They had also found a lady's coat I could wear as well, in case it got chilly. I had to apply the minimum makeup, just mascara and lipstick. I was terrified at first, but both Mummy and Auntie calmed me down, saying, "Look Ramia, you don't even look like a boy, you look so much like a girl. No one would ever notice the difference, so don't worry, we will be with you all the time, okay?" She produced a bottle of pills out of her bag. I didn't see what they were, and undoing the cap said, "Take 2 of these, they will calm you down." Then off we went, me to hairdressers, where Mum and Auntie picked out a style for me that was completely feminine. It had blonde streaks in it the lot. At that moment I knew I was becoming a girl. I was there for about 3 hours having my hair done. Next it was my nails, which were shaped and painted a pretty dark pink color. Then came the worst of the worst. The pain was unreal. I almost slipped out of the chair while it was being done. What was it? I had my eyebrows plucked into a very feminine arch. Then my ears were pierced, and they put studs 2 in each ear. When Mum and Auntie came to collect me, they almost cried with joy. There standing before them was a beautiful young girl, with no hint at all of a boy anywhere. When I looked in the full-size mirror they had in the shop, tears started forming in my eyes. I hugged them both and again said, "Thank you to you both, you have made a girl's dream come true." After a truly painful time with my eyebrows and ears, Auntie and Mummy brought out to show me what they had bought me, while I was in the hairdresser's. To say I was overcome was an underestimation. I had dresses, skirts, blouses, petticoats, stockings, and tights. I had 6 matching padded bras and panties sets. I even had a swimsuit, as well as 4 pair of shoes with various heels and colors to match my dresses and skirts. And as for makeup, there was too much to name. I had creams, lotions, potions, everything a girl could ever want. To top everything off, I had long and short night dresses with panties and matching robes, plus fluffy slippers. I was excited as you would never believe. I felt if I would pass out with all the excitement. Then I came across something I didn't expect, a box of sanitary towels. I looked at Mummy with a quizzical look. Mummy then explained that if I wanted to be a girl, then I should get used to wearing sanitary towels 1 week in 3 as most girls have to. She said, "I will mark off on the calendar when you should be on, and on those days, you will have to wear a sanitary towels day and night. If you want to be a girl, then you should have to go through what every girl does." I said with a bit of apprehension in my voice, "Okay Mummy, if that's what girls have to do, then so shall I." By the time we left for our holiday, Remy was no more. His place had been taken by Ramia, totally in every way. All the time Mummy and Auntie were giving me tips and lessons on how a girl would do this or that, no matter what it was. I was so excited I was looking and acting like a real girl would in almost every way. I was even reminded that I had to sit to go to Tinkle's every time I went. Auntie Shelley kept giving me these pills. 2 in the morning and 2 in the evening. She kept saying it was to keep me calm and relaxed, but I just had this feeling. But I kept on taking them, hoping that they were the ones I had hoped they were. We packed our suitcases the day before so that we could get an early start. It felt so strange to be packing bras and stockings and dresses for me. It was so exciting. In the morning I dressed casually as it was going to be a long trip, so it was a skirt and blouse, my padded bra and panties and tights. Auntie said they would be the most comfortable thing to wear for the trip. I put on a little makeup and a dab of perfume and I was ready to go. Oh, so ready. We reached our destination after about 4.5 hours, plus 2 stops for all of us. It was quite nerve-wracking to go with 2 other women to the ladies' loo with them. I learned a lot that day about women's habits. It was so good on holiday, as I was dressed 24/7, and I found I was just slotting into being a girl so naturally. It was so good to be doing girly things that were so normal to real girls. I found the face creams I was using day and night like I was told to, and the body lotion was starting to give my body and my complexion a very soft appearance. All of my skin everywhere was becoming softer, and it was becoming more and more obvious that my skin's appearance was slowly changing to that of a girl. Even my breasts were showing signs of getting slightly larger and a lot more tender. But I will admit it again, I was loving the experience of it all, even down to wearing my sanitary towels. I was still taking my 4 pills a day and using my creams day and night. It was now becoming a matter of routine. It even got to the point one day when I saw some boys eyeing me up. I felt so flattered on one hand and so scared on the other. I even blushed, which didn't go unnoticed by my mummy. She said, "There now, even the boys are eyeing you up. I think you are going to have to get used to that a lot now you're so pretty." I just blushed. The holiday was an amazing adventure for me. Auntie and Mummy never called me by my other name, it was always Ramia, and they always introduced me as their daughter or niece, and I tried to act like one. I met other girls there, and made lots of friends, and a few boys, one which made my tummy go all fluttery. When I told Auntie about it, she just grinned and told Mummy, who did the exact same thing, saying, "I told you would attract the boys, didn't I?" At the end of our holiday, I was so sorry we had to go home. Mainly it meant to me that I would have to go back to being a dreary boy, and I hated that thought. Also, because of the creams, and I think the pills, my face was becoming smoother and less pronounced. And my breasts were becoming like small titties, which were getting very tender when I wasn't wearing a bra, as they rubbed against my blouse or some other top I was wearing. I told Mummy about this and she just smiled, saying, "It's what all girls go through as their breasts develop. It won't last long, just until they get a little bigger." Bigger, I said. "Well, you want to have decent-sized breasts, don't you?" What could I say? "Well," she said, "you do, don't you?" All I could say was, "Yes, Mummy, I want my own breasts." "That's a good girl," she said, and there they left it. On the morning we were going to leave, we all sat down in my bedroom. That was Auntie, Mummy, and me, and we started talking about what had happened to me in these 4 weeks that I had been a girl 24/7. From making friends with other girls and joining in their games, and especially making friends with boys who made my tummy have butterflies. One downside was having to wear a sanitary towel just like normal girls had to, for 3 out of 4 weeks. I told them honestly that I did not want to go back to being a boy, and that I loved being a girl, sanitary towels and all. They looked really pleased. Auntie Shelley said that she had a confession to make to me. She told me that the pills and cream I had been using was in fact female super strength hormone cream. I then understood what was happening to me. She told me that she was sorry she did not tell me, but she was afraid to in case it swayed me one way or the other. I smiled at her and said, "Auntie, that was the best thing you could have done for me. It made me realize who I really was and want to be for the rest of my life." They both smiled, then said, "We have another question for you, Ramia." I replied, "Yes, what do you want to know?" now feeling quite self-confident in myself. Hesitating and looking at each other, Mummy said, "Would you like to be my daughter and Aunt Shelley's niece full-time? That means forever." It would mean you carrying on taking the pills and using the creams. When we got back you would have to see a doctor, so you can be monitored properly. You would also be dressing and acting as a girl full-time. You will have to wear dresses, not trousers, panties, not pants, and a bra full-time as your breasts develop. Your hips will get larger just like a girl would. As well as all the rest of wearing girls' clothes, your sanitary towels. It would also mean changing you from your old boys' school to a new girls' school. That will also mean that you will have to learn to be accepted as a girl until you are old enough to have an operation, which will make you into a real girl in every way. Before you say anything, remember, once you start there will be no going back. It will all be a one-way ticket for you. I looked at them and started crying, but with happiness. Yes, I would love that, to become your daughter and your niece. You would make me the happiest girl I know. Thank you so much for being so understanding and helping me find out who I really am. Thank you so much again. Then we all hugged each other and cried. P.S. That was 3 years ago tomorrow. I have now had the operation and am now a proper fully functioning girl. I still live with my mummy and auntie, but I have a job as a personal secretary to this really cute boss of mine, John. We seem to get on really well together and he has asked me out to dinner. Of course, being a lady, I accepted, and I am now just waiting for him to pick me up.